Hi, this is Scott from Heretical Sraffa here. Today's May 22nd, 2017. Yes, I broke my arm. I'm okay, but it is relatively immobile. I will say I've come to really appreciate the dictation function in our electronic devices, and I will use that even as this after this heals because I find it's very useful. But I'm here to report. I want to report that Sraffa's notes on production of commodities by means of commodities are online. An earlier video that I had made, I posted on the Heretical Sraffa website. I made that the day I learned of the news, which was about 2 weeks ago. So there, I'm really excited. It is wonderful news, and it's very exciting. In this video, what I want to do is speak a little bit less anxiously and less excitedly, if you will, about the project and about the news. Sraffa's papers are now online, okay, and it's huge. And I think it's really important to understand that we are in a very important period in the history of economic thought. At no other time in the history of economic thought have we had access to Sraffa's papers. Now, people might say, okay, whatever, Carter, that doesn't mean anything. All right, maybe it doesn't. But Sraffa's a pretty smart guy, right? Especially when it comes to economics. And I think it will matter. And I think that there's plenty of us who want to see if it does matter. And I think that what we now have is the opportunity to do that. And I think that's the most important thing that I think all scholars and all lay people alike, all interested people alike who want to understand the nature of scientific economics, to reclaim the mantle of scientific economics again, can appreciate now with Sraffa's archival material being online. And one of the things that I want to do, and that we're trying to do with respect to the Heretical Sraffa website, and as you will see, the Trinity 2.0 archival convention, is to allow scholars and interested lay people and interested people the ability to actually read and contextualize the material. I won't say understand the material, but what we can do is we can give context to the material in the sense of structure, of understanding when and how, and the whole what I refer to as the archival architecture in expositing, I think is the word I want to try to say, expositing the material, so that as I write, we can cogently use it for scientific study. Right? I think that one of the things that that's been unfortunate about Sraffa archival scholarship, and believe me, there's some really good stuff out there. I look forward to seeing how the scholarship that's extant on the archive interfaces with the material going on. I'm sure that all scholars should be happy and will be happy that material is coming online, so that we can all finally have an opportunity to develop the potential that's there. It's been lying dormant for far too long, in my opinion, and I haven't made that known. And I've said that since I've gotten into this mix, and respectfully, I said that to Professor Garignani as well, and who he and I ended in a very cordial and respectful relationship, I would like to think. But we're here, and it's 2017, and we're ready to get this thing moving on. Now, in the dialogue, so the delay in the initial news that I heard, and now this particular video, which now I'm going to be posting both of these videos online, was well, first of all, I broke my arm, but it was the co-editing work that I'm doing with Riccardo Bellafiore for a volume in the book series, The Research in the History of Economic Thought and Methodology, a special issue on Sraffa. And we got some really good entries in there. I won't mention any names right now. I definitely want to get permission before doing anything like that. But we got some really good top-notch scholars that are looking at different aspects of Sraffa's scholarship and Sraffa's life. We got analytical work on capital theory. We got analytical work on the history of Sraffa in the 20s. We got some really interesting stuff on Sraffa and Wittgenstein, Sraffa and Gramsci, archival work that I'm doing, archival work that is being done in Italy, stuff that's using the archival, developing some of the strands of analysis that the extant literature has engaged, etc. I really think that we have an opportunity here to to turn a significant corner in a very positive direction, win-win all around in terms of Sraffa scholarship, and many things which are heretofore relatively kind of tea leaves and alchemy can now be discussed in the open. And as with anything that opens up, rats and cockroaches and bad ideas and nefarious motives and whatever. That's a general statement. I get exposed, and the science is able to move forward. Okay, so what I like to do here in the dialog box under this video, there is the entry that I have written, and it's important to get the electronic version of my article. It refers to what I'm calling the Trinity 2.0 arrangement of Sraffa's papers. I'm going to talk about that here in this video. This is going to appear in print in the book series that I mentioned earlier, but they're not going to hyperlink it. The important thing is to hyperlink the tables and to be able to navigate your way through the archive. And it's really important that what the Wren Library and Jonathan and Jonathan Smith, the archivist, and Hillary Morton, who was doing some of the really important work and making the images and putting it online, have made it very, very easy for us, not only in terms of the archival convention, but also in terms of being able to navigate through the website. And I also have been developing, with respect to the Trinity 2.0 convention, a way that interfaces with their website, and it's all connected, it's all beautiful, and anyone can do it. I mean, this is the wonderful thing that Jonathan has given us, and that thanks to Lord Eatwell, thank you very much, Lord Eatwell and Giancarlo DeVivo and Maura Milgate are directing the project, and Jonathan and Hillary are doing some really good work. We can thank them all for the opportunity to have this up, and everybody needs to take advantage of it. And this is one way in which we can, and I'm happy to say that I have. So what I've done, okay, is I'm going to talk about the history of the archive, and specifically what I'm going to be referring to is the archive in Sraffa's notes of production of commodities by means of commodities. Now, when you know Sraffa's archive, okay, when you look at Sraffa's archive, it's a massive archive. It contains many sections. We're only referring to one section of the archive. It's section D, and it's going to be a subsection of that. Actually, it's going to be a subsection of a subsection of that. What we're looking at are section D, which are lecture notes publications, D3, which are publications, D1 is notes, D2 is lectures, D3 is publications, and there you have 14 different publications, and production of commodities by means of commodities is the 12th. That's why in the Wren Trinity Convention, Sraffa's notes of production of commodities by means of commodities are referred to as D312. I'll put this here. This is Wren Trinity, and I'm going to talk about all of this. Wren Trinity, this is WT, this is equal to D312. Okay, and so what we see when we look at Wren Trinity, we see that in D312, there's going to be 115 files. Okay, D312-1 through D312-115. Okay, now I'm going to talk about Wren Trinity and the relationship this has with the other conventions, because there's another convention to the same material. It was an earlier convention. That's called the Barjwa-Girignani Convention. I'll talk about that directly. But this is what we're looking at. Okay? These are going to be Sraffa's notes on production commodities according to the Wren Trinity Convention as D312. So when you go on the Wren Trinity website, I'll link the hyperlink in the dialog box below, make all this very clear in the dialog box, along with my paper. My paper has all of this. You would go on to Sraffa, D3, and then 12. And then you'll see all the various files that have the images that are really nicely done. They did a professional job. Oh my God, thank you very much, Jonathan and Hillary. You did a fantastic job. It stands as a testament to the potential that the new technology has. I mean, it's amazing, guys, what we can do. Let's not squander this opportunity, and let's take it forward. So, what we have here then, in looking at these these Sraffa's old, massive old notes. Notes of production of commodities by means of commodities. This is what Sraffa refers to as the mass of old notes, ... that he was shown to Keynes. All right, shown to Keynes. Sraffa writes this in the preface of Production of Commodities by Means of Commodities. Okay, that's what he's referring to. These are going to be that D312, 1 to 115. I'll put that right here. All right, D312, 1 to 115. Okay, what this is going to be, contains 115 files of, I'd say, over 7,000 mostly handwritten pages. All right, handwritten pages. Pages. All right, there. All right, so you got over 7,000 handwritten pages that are going to comprise Sraffa's notes of production of commodities by means of commodities. Now, there are two different archival conventions that have heretofore been used to account for the material. We're talking about an archival architecture here. I call it the archival architecture, how we can access the text in a cogent, conceptual, and structural manner. Not have a chaotic, dark manner. Let's understand the nature of it and what the material brings to light. And as much as possible, let the material speak for itself. I'll say here now, and I say it in the paper, and you'll hear me say it more. Take straight from Sraffa. The way Sraffa dealt with Ricardo's archive. I mean, it's nothing. If you read Sraffa and how he did his Ricardo, especially the letters and the correspondence, volume 6 through 9, he developed his own archival convention in numbering the letters. He went from, he identified where the letter was going to and to whom the letter was going. He has tables in volume 6. He has a fantastic table in volume 9 at the very end where he goes through, he develops his own archival convention and he uses it. And he makes clear that, and it's what we do for him. And I said that to Ewell in February 2013 when I got permission to make my digital copy of this material, is that Sraffa deserves no less than what he did for Ricardo. And that's what we're trying to do here. And let Sraffa speak for himself as much as possible. Anyway, so we have this here, all right? So Sraffa's massive old notes, 150 pounds of 7,000 mostly handwritten pages. Now, the history of this, I mean, you have to look at the chronology of the development, all right? And we're going to talk about that in a minute. And this is where it's important to understand how the different conventions differ and how would we bring them together in the Trinity 2.0 convention. That's the point. So you got this massive old notes, okay? And so what I'm saying is that you got two different ways in which these notes are accounted for, two different archival conventions, okay? The first one is the Bharajwad, sorry, I'm butchering the name, Krishna Bharajwad and Professor Pirangelo Garignani. All right, it's the Bharajwad Garignani, I call it the BG convention. All right. The second of this one was what was done in 1984 to 1989. 1984, right after Sraffa died, Bharajwad and Garignani got onto this. That's why it's an irony that it's coming out now. All right, it's the whole thing is like whatever. Okay, it's out now. We move from there. Okay. Now, then the second one is going to be the Ren Trinity. All right, this is the Ren Trinity convention. WT. All right, that's the convention that's commonly used in the literature. Okay, right. Now, in each of these, there's going to be a micro inner file content arrangement, inner file level, and there's going to be a macro meta file level. All right, macro meta file level. Okay, for both Bharajwad Garignani and Ren Trinity. All right, this is going to be the micro inner file. All right, inner file, and this is going to be the macro meta file. All right, by the meta file, I mean the 115 files. Okay? By the inner file, I mean the 7,000 pages. All right? So how they arrange both. And what we see is this. All right? We see that for the, and they differ. All right? Bargeward-Garignani and Ren Trinity differ on both completely. All right, which is good for us because we put them together, basically, is what we do. And then you have two different ways in which the same material is archived, and then using the Bargeward-Garignani here, macro unit file. This is going to be. Let me just write this. Make sure I say this exactly the way I want to say it here. This is going to be documents. The micro inner file for the Bargeward-Garignani are going to be documents as note sets. Documents as notes. That's notes. Note sets. All right. I hope you guys can see that. All right. Documents as note sets. All right. So that means that you're going to have these files, okay? In the files, there's going to be a series of documents, and then those documents are actually going to be collections of small documents. So what we have in the Sraffa archival actually is a mosaic of interconnected note sets. Now, this comes from two of the best minds that ever could try to break down Sraffa's papers, Krishna Bargeward and Pierangelo Garignani. We're very fortunate to have their work. All right? I mean, it's amazing that this hasn't been done before, quite frankly. And I don't know why. I mean, Professor Garignani passed before I could ask him this question, but were he allowed, I would ask him what happened, right? You know, but in any event, because he talks about it. Professor Garignani talks about it in 2005 in his Turning Point article. He develops his own hybrid convention. Everybody will know what the hell he's doing. It's what he's doing, right? In any event, all right. So this is going to be the documents as note sets, where the macro file is going to be these piles. All right, you talk about the piles left in Sraffa's room. Left in Sraffa's room. All right, this is the account that room. So he had two rooms. He had a room at Trinity, in Neville's Court, and he had a room at the Marshall Library. Okay, and you read Alessandro Roncaglia writes about this. I think Heinz writes about. I know Heinz writes about this in 2009. Heinz Kurtz writes about this. Jonathan Smith. He has several accounts where he writes about the piles that evidently in Sraffa, and I don't know, I haven't seen, I would love, one of the things I hope when this breaks out, we can know how the piles were actually constructed. Maybe they're in Garignani's archive, I hope so, and I hope they come out. But in any event, they had these piles that were left in Sraffa's quarters, and then evidently the piles were just, and were just, how they were compiled, no one, I mean, we just know what they are, is, I've looked at it, and in the document that's linked below in the dialog box, I go through and separate the different piles, and I mean, one could try to get conceptual order, and perhaps it's there. I think as the archive comes out now, and people study the archive it as a holistic text, which it should be studied, using all the conventions, by the way. I know no one convention is better than the other, by the way, including the Trinity 2.0 that I'm coming. But never mind. That we can then understand. Okay. Well, let me just finish this. Okay. Right on. So, well, Ren Trinity's got a micro inner file and a macro meta file. Micro inner file. This is going to be the individual page. All right. This is an individual page. For Ren Trinity, they just use number 1 to whatever, and sometimes they'll piggyback. I call it piggybacking. Sometimes they'll piggyback on complete note sets that Sraffa paginates. Because what I'm not saying here yet, and it's going to be huge in the Trinity 2.0 convention, is the pagination that Sraffa gives. All right, because the whole purpose behind the Trinity 2.0 convention, which is where I bring these two together, is to allow the archive to speak for itself. All right, so Sraffa's pagination is what's important, and that will, at times, in certain files, D31221 comes to mind, will require a wholesale rearrangement of the content in the file. I'd say that in Ren Trinity, about 85%, 90%. I don't round it. We can look at it, and we're going to find that out in the coming weeks of it is in order. In fact, I have that. I can come, we'll find that out in the coming weeks. Macro metafile. Here's where Trinity shines. This is going to be chronological order. Now you have chronological order. All right, now you have the chronological order of these 115 files. You didn't have it with the macro metafile convention for Bartol-Garigiani. All right, they did it according to Sraffa's room, and the project lay. I mean, it didn't. It lay abandoned. I mean, it didn't. It's just there. It was just left. Okay, we're picking it up and we're putting it together. But Jonathan did. He said, in looking at this, and I've talked to him before, it's a wonderful scientific process. And anyway, how to develop it. And so it's in chronological order and according to the book order too. All right? In looking at the actual development and the ordering of the Trinity Convention, some really interesting work, no doubt, is going to come out now that it's open. I mean, this is open for everybody. This is the people that are interested in these matters can look at, well, how much does the ordering of the Trinity files correspond to that of Sraffa's book? All right, and one of the things, for example, that I'm going to do soon, and this is where this is now out, guys, is moving on, is to hyperlink Sraffa's book with everything in the archive and really try to make the thing alive. Now, where we come in is this, okay? We say, all right, well, we have two different ways to arrange the same material. Okay, I'm going to put this there, Sraffa's ropes. All right, it's going to be Sraffa's ropes. All right, Neville's Court and Trinity, that's right by the Wren and Marshall Library. So what we do is say, okay, well, we're going to take the best of both worlds. We'll take the really wonderful work that's been done with the Bartol-Garigiani inner file arrangement. And this is not perfect. There's ways in which they got it wrong. You know, I hate to say. I mean, it was just a preliminary account. All right, and so what we're doing is it's a very good preliminary account because it gives, again, the two most capable minds, for sure, to go through and understand Sraffa's and arrange Sraffa's content, and we're benefiting wonderfully from their work. It's a wonderful embodied labor we're going to be able to take advantage of, I assure you. And to the macro metafile, all right, of the Trinity 2.0. All right, and these, since they're arranged in completely different ways, we can take advantage of that, and we can put these two elements together, and we call this Trinity 2.0. All right, so instead of Trinity 2.0, to celebrate that this is just the next step of how the Trinity would go. And I've had these discussions with Jonathan, and definitely taking on the important work that he did and incorporating it with the important work that Mrs. Bartol and Professor Garigiani did as well. Now, what is important in this, all right, that has to be known, vitally important in this is going to be Sraffa's pagination. All right, this is pagination, output pagination, etc. All right, Sraffa's own understanding of his notes, because he revisits his notes that he wrote in the 1940s. He revisits them in 1955, and on several of the files that Sraffa had those earlier notes in, he would refer to particular documents within the notes. All right, so he referred to it too. He understood his material as note sets. All right, it's really amazing, an amazing story. All right, so that's what you got going here. All right, I'm gonna do more lectures on the material. I'm gonna be doing lectures galore. Number one, number two, I'm trying to do it the right way. I got a video camera now, a tripod and a video camera. I'm trying to be less of more higher quality videos. I'm trying to see if I can just I'll be able to draw. I mean, do some lecturing that I can actually draw out for you, and then put those online for you. I have a ScreenFlow computer application, which is a desktop application to do the ScreenFlow screen presentations, and I'll be able to interlink videos with PowerPoint slideshows, etc. I look forward to that. I have still the Scroll Down blog. I'm going to be putting up my new website now with Trinity 2.0. Now with Ren Trinity out, we're going to come up. My Trinity 2.0 is mostly on my Google account. I'll have a whole video about the Google account on that. I'm at a Heretical Sraffa Google account. Everything now is going to be open to the public. Transcriptions, I'm transcribing it. You can go on. I'll put the website under here. And we'll start getting that up. This is again it's the 22nd of May 2017. We're looking by the end of the summer to really have this thing going, so that the end of the summer, people can read it in the summer, and then we can have this thing going on, so that we can understand and read our Sraffa. Okay, production of commodities needs to be made available. We have to read the material. Okay, right on. We're very, very fortunate. Okay. We got this thing going on, and read your Sraffa. All right, we'll see you online. Peace.